Hello to all Cinemaster lovers. Hope you enjoy watching. Let's get started. Daybreak is a post-apocalyptic dark comedy series set in a world where a nuclear explosion has wiped out most of humanity, leaving behind ghoulies, mindless, zombie-like creatures. The story follows 17-year-old Josh, a high school student who is on a mission to find his girlfriend, Sam, whom he believes may still be alive. As Josh navigates this dangerous, chaotic new world, he teams up with unlikely allies, including a group of outcast teens who formed their own factions, such as the Jocks and Goths. The series blends humor and horror as Josh faces off against ruthless survivors, mutated creatures, and even the challenges of high school cliques. Along the way, he uncovers the truth about the apocalypse while trying to figure out who he is in this new, mad world. With a mix of heart, action, and plenty of quirky moments, Daybreak explores survival, friendship, and the weirdness of growing up in an end-of-the-world scenario. The events of the series begin in a school located in California, where the principal delivers an announcement over the microphone, advising the students to look towards the future with passion and enthusiasm, and to be leaders who do not follow the herd. The classroom, the students in a state of frustration. Some are dozing off, others are talking with their classmates, preoccupied with anything but thinking about their future. In the classroom, there is a teacher named Rima, who takes attendance and calls out the students' names. She reaches the name Josh and calls out to him, but he doesn't respond, even though he is present in the class. Josh looks at us and starts talking, and suddenly the scene shifts to his past, where he sees himself in school before the nuclear bomb fell that completely destroyed their city. Josh tells us that this bomb wiped out all humans over the age of 18, leaving only children and teenagers. Additionally, the survivors turned into a tribe of cannibals called ghouls, and the animals also became aggressive and predatory. Josh currently lives in the house of the gang leader who died after the explosion. Josh sees that life has become easier after the destruction, as you can take over any house you find vacant. While walking through the city, he notices a building and pulls out a piece of paper from his pocket that says, "You are the med." But he suddenly hears a noise and hides behind a tree, watching someone called Barry. Josh tells that Barry is an evil character, wearing a mask, and his identity is unknown, but he leads a gang and enslaves people to work under his command. Barry passes by carrying a child in a cage, and after he leaves, Josh steps forward to explore the place. Josh comes across a place he thinks is new, but he quickly realizes that the gang tools he sees belong to a gang called the Athletes. He tries to stay away so he doesn't get into trouble, but he hears a girl screaming, so he steps forward to save her. When he sees her, he thinks she is his girlfriend Sam, but later he discovers that she is another girl named Angelica. Josh tells us that he spends his time searching for Sam, who disappeared after the bomb fell. Josh's past, when he moved to a new school, and the principal asks Sam to be his guide. Upon seeing her, Josh falls in love with her. The present, where Josh tries to save the girl in the box, thinking she is Sam, but he discovers she is Angelica. Josh forms an alliance with Angelica and Wesley, his former classmate who used to bully others at school, but changed after the disaster and became peaceful. In the meantime, Terry, the leader of the Athletes, and his gang approach them, and Josh tries to escape with Angelica and Wesley. They resort to a secret storage place of Josh's, where he keeps food and tools. But they hear someone approaching the warehouse, and it turns out to be Terry and his gang, as well as Turbo and his gang. Josh and his colleagues start throwing bags filled with blood at Terry and his gang to attract the ghouls that are sensitive to the smell of blood. Their plan succeeds, and the ghouls attack Terry and his gang, giving them a chance to escape. After that, the three decide to go to the mall, where Josh believes Sam is being held. They arrive at the mall but run into the character Barry, who reveals his face to show that he is Eli, their former schoolmate. Eli tells them how he took control of the mall after the explosion and assures Josh that Sam is not there. While they are inside the center, they discover another ghoul trapped within the building, causing Angelica to lose focus, and Eli locks the doors behind them. The three unite to try to escape from the mall, amidst the threat of the ghouls chasing them. Wesley goes to Eli and tries to convince him to open the door for his friends, but Eli refuses. At the same time, Eli spots Barry standing outside the mall, trying to find an entrance. Then it shifts to Lamona, who was gathering all the other gangs and asking them what they would offer as tributes to Barry. One of the gangs, called the Beggars, pulls out a gun and shoots Turbo, killing him. However, they are surprised to find out that this was not the real Turbo. It was a test for the gangs to see which one hated him the most. Lemonade decides to throw a party at night, where the gang of beggars will be her victims and they will be disposed of one by one. The scene returns to the mall where Josh is trying to find an exit for them, but Angelica suggests asking Miss Rima. Rima is different from the other ghouls. She can speak and think, while the other ghouls only repeat the last word they heard. Josh refuses Angelica's suggestion and tells her that he will look for the key himself. Rima surprises him and tells him that she has the key, but she can't find it and remembers that it's inside her body. Josh decides to insert his hand inside her body to find it, and indeed, he succeeds in retrieving the key and closes the door on her again. Josh and Angelica go down to escape, but they find Lamb in their way. She attacks them, and they can't get rid of her easily, so Angelica reminds him that she forgot her firearm upstairs and rushes to retrieve it. Elsewhere, Wesley and Eli hear knocking sounds coming from the elevator used for transporting garbage, so they rush towards Josh and Angelica to ask for help. When Josh finds himself threatened by one of the ghouls, Eli kills the ghoul, and they all go to the elevator to find Barry behind it, approaching to kill them. But Rima suddenly appears and starts reciting some incantation, weakening Barry, who quickly flees. They wonder how Rima managed to escape despite having been locked up, only to discover that she has the ability to turn into smoke and pass through iron barriers. At night, the party organized by Turbo takes place, and Mona enters his room and asks him why he is busy and not participating in the celebration. He draws the name Josh with chalk, and it becomes clear that he is planning something bad for him. The scene shifts back to Josh and his friends, where Rima's sleeping on the ground. Angelica explains to them that Rima does not feed on human blood like the other ghouls, but only on iron. Wesley approaches Eli and thanks him for allowing them to stay in his mall, and apologizes for everything he did to him in the past. Suddenly, the door closes on Eli inside one of the stores, and he discovers that Wesley deliberately locked him in because he doesn't trust him and fears he might betray him. Josh tries to talk to himself in the bathroom, reaffirming the importance of sacrifice and courage for the sake of his loved ones. Then he decides to cut his wrist to prevent the effect of the ghoul's bite, but accidentally cuts his finger instead. Angelica enters and calls him stupid, showing him her hand covered in ghoul bites without any harm coming to her. Later, Josh comes out of the bathroom, but he quickly faints due to the bleeding, and Wesley tries to help. Angelica seizes the opportunity to tell her story, telling us that she was a genius child but always dreamed of becoming a gang leader due to her constant loneliness. She executed her plans on a small scale, starting by manufacturing and selling drugs at her school. The present, where Wesley and Angelica are trying to convince Eli about the location of the pharmacy, but Eli refuses, and they decide to search for the medicine elsewhere. Then Josh wakes up to find a message from Angelica, telling him that they went to look for a cure for him, but he meets Lamb, who expresses her extreme hunger. Wesley and Angelica decide to leave the mall, and on the way, Angelica explains the different gangs. Wesley asks her about her love for gangs and wonders why she hasn't joined one, but she hesitates to respond. In another scene, Turbo removes his mask to reveal his disfigured face, and he plans to take revenge on Josh. On the other hand, Wesley and Angelica arrive at the pharmacy, and Wesley starts gathering all the soap that Eli requests as a condition for not revealing his secret. The ghouls followed them to the pharmacy, but they were surprised by the appearance of the Champions gang, who helped them. Mary, the gang leader, who used to bully Angelica. Mary tries to convince Angelica to join the Champions team, but Angelica refuses because she wants to form her own gang that is stronger than everyone else's. Wesley and Angelica decide to search for Barry and take revenge on him, where Wesley suggests telling Josh the truth about Sam, which was just a plan by Angelica and Wesley to keep him with them at the mall. Back in time to find that Burr owned a school that was going through continuous financial crises. Hughes's father offered him a huge sum of money in exchange for his son's success in the exams, so Burr had to accept the amount to prevent the school from closing. Burr discusses his great suffering due to Hughes's lack of manners and bad behavior, and he couldn't confront him for fear that Hughes would report him and label him as a bribe taker. Burr, where Josh tells him that he hasn't turned into a monster, but that doesn't mean he doesn't eat humans. Rather, his favorite meal has become children because they provide him with more protein. Burr heads towards Hughes to throw him into the fire, but Josh throws dirt in Burr's eyes, quickly frees Hughes, and asks him to steal the keys. But Hughes shows no gratitude and escapes without helping Josh. Burr starts fighting Josh, but Josh manages to knock him down and escapes inside the factory, where Burr follows him and begins searching, saying that asking the guards for help won't benefit him because they don't speak English. Meanwhile, Josh hides and tells him that he has returned to avenge the murder of his friend Sam, but Barry denies killing Sam and insists that he doesn't know her whereabouts. Josh realizes that Barry did not kill her, and Barry enters the cage where the food is placed. Josh follows him and stabs him with the sword. He hears the cries of the children trapped in the cages, who encourage Josh to kill Barry. Josh manages to take the key without Barry noticing, then quickly exits the cage and locks it on Barry, leaving him in a state of confusion. He thinks that Josh didn't kill him because he didn't intend to, but he didn't realize that Josh's goal was to get the keys to free the children. Josh returns to the mall with the freed children, and Angelica says they will stay here in the mall, despite Eli's objection, which Angelica counters. Wesley sits with Josh and they choose music to celebrate their escape from Barry. Then Wesley heads to the factory to deliver food to Barry, refusing to take Josh with him. There, Wesley meets Turbo in a strange situation and discovers that Turbo has feelings for him, putting Wesley in a difficult position. In the factory, Barry reminds Wesley that this is not the first time he has faced a situation forcing him to make a difficult decision between two people. As Wesley returns to the mall, he finds a cart with a camera from Eli, who had been spying on him. Wesley quickly moves to end the matter and tells Eli not to harm Josh. Wesley and Turbo work on a plan to kill Josh using a crown injected with poison, but in the end, Wesley chooses to confess everything to Josh. Just before Turbo enters, and Wesley informing them that Turbo is on his way to them, and telling them that he had a plan he saw in a series before. The plan involves placing statues everywhere so that Turbo thinks they are real humans. The next day, Turbo with a broken wing after someone struck him on the shoulder with a sword in an attempt to kill him. It was certainly one of his men who tried to do that, because Josh and his companions were originally hiding. The mall where Josh holding Wesley and Eli captive after they tried to kill him. Josh tells Eli that he thought Wesley was one of his close friends and didn't expect the betrayal to come from someone like him. In the dialogue between Josh and Wesley, Wesley reveals that if Sam asks him for something, he would do it for her without hesitation, likening it to what happened to him personally. Josh asks him if he lied about something else, and the subject suddenly changes, as Angelica points out that they need to confirm whether Barry is still imprisoned or not, because Turbo escaped, and therefore it is possible that Barry has escaped as well. And they don't yet know that Wesley was the one who opened the door for Turbo Magic, talking to Josh and telling him that she agrees to kill Turbo because she knows that everyone in the mall are cowardly kids, and they will abandon each other. She says she knows the person who can help her with this. Josh seems busy, and all he can think about is that she speaks English fluently. Turbo, who gathers all the gangs to find out who the traitor is that tried to kill him. After a while, Josh and Magic leaving the mall to execute the plan they agreed upon to kill Turbo. The first steps in executing the plan begin as they go to buy sweets and snacks and manage to entice the people who will pass by their path to either stop or walk through their property. Finally, after all that, they arrive at the desired location, which is a large truck container. Magic knocks on the door with a stone, and when she says the password, the door opens. When Josh and Magic get into the car, they meet Arya, an old friend of Magic, and inside the place there are many young people. At first, Josh thinks they are sitting down to play video games, but Arya tells them they have another mission, which is to fight at any time, and their main task is to kill the ghouls. Arya asks about the mission they came for, and Magic tells her that they want to kill Turbo. Arya initially refuses, but she agrees after Magic reminds her that she owes her a great debt. Angelica and Rima in the factory where Barry is held, and they go out to bring him food. And when Barry sees them, he starts influencing Rima with words, and tells Angelica that Rima might attack her because her nature cannot be controlled. But Angelica doesn't believe it, and suddenly, Rima attacks Angelica with the intent to eat her. Angelica quickly runs away and hides in one of the rooms inside the factory, Turbo, where he gathers all the gangs and asks each one of them to recount what happened on Mall Day. Turbo tells them that the story is different, but he gets angry when he doesn't understand anything from them and can't reach the one who tried to kill him. Arya, who contacts another person to help them kill Turbo, and this person agrees to help them because he also wants to kill Turbo. Arya tells them that they need to move at 6 o'clock in the evening to be fully prepared. At night, while Turbo was sitting with his gang, the power suddenly went out, and Magic and Josh began monitoring the situation through the cameras. Suddenly, 3 of Arya men disappear, and when all the men are dead, only one person remains, and Turbo is killed and his camera is taken. But, in a surprise twist, Turbo has captured Arya and 2 of her followers. He asks her how she entered the school, and she replies that she received help from a traitor among his men, but she doesn't know his name. She mentions a code that appears to be from the athletes team. Turbo denies having done that and says they were planning to frame someone else, but no one believes him. At night, Turbo prepares to execute his usual plan to torture the traitor before killing him. Mona Lisa says that all the evidence points to Gandhi, but he still does not confess to his crime. Mona Lisa looks at Turbo with suspicion, and when he smiles and laughs, she asks him if he is behind this plan. Before these events, Turbo was indeed the one who planned all of this, and he was the one who allowed Arya to enter the school. He did this because he hates defeat, as Josh had previously defeated him 3 times. So he decided to create a fake battle for him to win, just to prove to himself that he is capable of winning. Turbo crying and feeling like a failure. while Josh and Magic, who are seen sleeping on the roof of the car they were in. Josh seems frustrated with everything happening around him, especially with Wesley, who lied to him. The next day, Josh tying up Wesley and Eli because they lied to him, and at the same time Angelica goes to the mall to buy medical supplies to treat Rima, who discovered that her back is sick and she might die later. Josh attacking Angelica because he discovered she lied to him, and when she denied it, Magic told him they reviewed the videos and found Sammy in the school that Turbo broke into. Thus, Josh confirmed that Sammy didn't die and that they were all lying, including Angelica. After that, Josh decided to take his revenge on them and kick them out of the mall, while each of them decided to live their life differently. Josh decided to continue searching for Sammy, while Angelica decided to join the Mother Feminist Party, the Champions Gang. Eli is feeling upset just because he was kicked out of the mall and is trying to get back in, the place where Turbo is, and Sam there as well. Mona Lisa standing next to Sam and their colleague Barry, and they admit that they are tired of their teenage behavior, especially from Turbo. So they decided to go to Burr to try to talk to him. The next day, they go to him and agree with him to get him out of prison in exchange for his help in improving the behavior of the youth, as Burr was a former school principal and successful at it. Burr agrees to their offer. Josh, who meets a girl named Katie, and she was his classmate in school, and at the same time she was Eli's ex-girlfriend. She says to him, "How can you kick them out of the mall when the ghouls are everywhere? Your personality wasn't like this before." He replies that recently he has been under immense pressure, and at the same time the people he thought were his friends turned out to have lied to him. Then he adds that he feels guilty towards Sam because he left her shortly before the end of the world. The past, to see Josh and Sam together. Josh starts talking to her about her personal life before they met, and asks her if she had loved anyone before him, to which she replies that she had loved several people before meeting him. Josh feels sad, and leaves her because he feels like an ordinary person to her, and that she can bring anyone into her life. At the same time, his mother calls him to tell him that his father has passed away. Josh feels a lot of pressure and is going through a tough time, gets angry with Sam, and distances himself from her. Minutes before the world-ending explosion, Josh goes to reconcile with Sam, but the explosion happens and he can't reach her. And from here begins his feeling of guilt, because he believes that if he had been with her at that time, he might have been able to protect her. Barry, whom wearing his distinctive clothes, entering into a big battle with Turbo. It seems that everyone has killed Turbo, but in reality, he did not die. After that, they return to school and Barry starts devising a plan to bring the students back and modify their behavior. He begins shaving his beard and returns to being the person everyone knows. He makes a drink from red berries and asks Sam and Barry to distribute it to all the students because it contains natural herbs that help improve their behavior. All the students drink this beverage, but they fall unconscious. At the same time, Barry disappears and they don't know where he is. The surprise happens when Sam finds herself talking to Burr and asks him, "What did you put in this drink?" He replies that he put a drug in it and that he will kidnap them all again and steal their blood. Here comes the shock, as Barry was killed by Burr. For the entire past period, Burr had been living with his guilt, and at the same moment, Sam also falls unconscious. So the question now is, what will happen next? Will Josh find out what happened and start searching for them? Or will there be other surprises? And thus, the first part of the series ends. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification button to get more new videos. See ya!